If you've ever dreamed of traveling the world, making music in places like LA, New York, Atlanta, but you don't know where to start, this video I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I travel the world as a music producer, and at the end I'm going to reveal the harsh truth that no one tells you about traveling the world, and why most producers waste their trip. So as you can see here, these are a couple photos from a trip that I did last year. So this is in the infamous Nico Barron's studio in Miami. This was once again in Miami at night, and this was in a studio that we had, probably one of the nicest home studios in New York in the middle of Soho. So the first question is, why even travel in the first place when I can just do everything from my house? Yes and no. For me, face card is everything, and real relationships are built in person. There's a massive difference between knowing someone over Instagram, following them, sending their emails and loops and beats and whatnot, versus meeting them in person, actually being like, getting in their energy and understanding who they are in real life rather than just numbers and letters behind the screen, right? So, plus, when you go traveling, you meet people that you never expected to meet and open doors. For example, when I was in LA 3 years ago, I went to some random TDE party and I met Murder Beats and I got to speak to him for a bit. And then Isaiah Rashad was right behind me. So you can't do that from the comfort of your own home. And a lot of producers don't realize that. The power of going outside, getting outside of your comfort zone and traveling. That's the good part. And then through those people, you'd be able to open doors. Like I had a friend from Australia and he introduced me to a producer and songwriter. And then they opened a bunch of doors. And then I managed to get a bunch of songs through them. So it's like going out and traveling, it opens up so many more opportunities for you rather than staying at your home 24/7, being locked in, I'm never leaving the studio. And plus, people take you a lot more seriously when they know that you've traveled over to come to a session. Like, for example, when I first moved from Australia to London, when I told people, they said, "Oh, that journey must have been long. How long did it take you?" And I say, "Yeah, it was like 30 hours." They go, "What the fuck? Like, you've been here, like you're in a session, you like flew 30 hours. Not, it wasn't 30 hours just for a session, but you understand the point. It shows that you're a lot more serious rather than, yeah, I'm not leaving the house and I'm going to travel 2 minutes to go see you. It shows a level of commitment that most producers don't have. Plus, for me, outside of music, you get to create life experiences and create memories. For me, another example, I'm just going to give you, this whole video is going to be examples. This was before I started making music, or I might have just started making music. I don't think so. Anyway, I was coming back and I had an 11-hour layover in China, and I got to go to the Great Wall of China by myself, which was a crazy life experience that you don't get to have if you're just locked in your room 24/7. So now we move on to accommodation. How do I get accommodation? So we're going to go from the cheapest option to the most expensive. So the first one is going to be friends and couch surfing. So let's say you have a friend in Atlanta, New York, Paris, London, wherever. You'd be able to hit them up and say, "Hey, I'm going to be in X, Y, and Z for a couple of days. Do you mind, or do you have a spare couch or a place that I could crash on just for a couple of days? I'm more than happy to chuck you some money." And then just offer to pay them something and just be hospitable, you could say. So this is what I would recommend. If you do have friends, just send them a quick message. The worst thing that they say is no. Or the best thing is you have free accommodation and you don't have to pay rent. From there, there's a couple websites that you can do house sitting. And I don't know exactly websites, but if you go house sitting sites, housesitting.com, Trusted House Sitters, Live Kindred, I keep seeing a couple ads for them, House Sitters UK. So if you just, how these work is you'll just have to like watch over the pets or make sure the house is clean in exchange for free accommodation. Obviously, don't throw massive house parties there, but this is just an option. I personally have never tried it, but you can go try yourself and let me know. The next one is hostels and room shares. I have lots of experience in hostels. For me, the places that I always choose is the nicest hostel, because if they're the nicest one, you're probably not going to get some fuck shit of like fucking creepy crawlies. And I've never been to hostels in like Bali and all that. I don't understand the point. But when I was in LA for a bit, I stayed at a hostel. That was really nice. I think hostels and room shares just have a bad rap. Obviously, I understand if you get some really shitty one, $1 a night, yes, that may be kind of crazy, especially in a bad area. But if you get a decent one in a nice area, I don't really see an issue with it. I personally never had any bad issues with hostels and room shares. Now we can move on to hotels and B&Bs. If you have more of a budget and you want to stay in your own place, get a hotel, get a B&B for yourself. When I was in Miami for a bit, I decided to get a hotel for myself just because I was just like, why not? And it was on the main street of Brickell, and it was well worth it. It was just so nice. And you have your own space. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. You don't have people snoring with you 24/7. So hotels and B&Bs, if you've got the budget, that I would recommend. Now we move on to travel. So the first option, the first method of travel is obviously flights. Going from Australia to London, you can't catch a train or anything. So what my go-to is just Google flights. So you'd be like LA to London or New York to Atlanta, that type of thing. And I would also check Skyscanner. Typically, I prefer Google Flights just because it gives you a list of a bunch of them. A lot of people prefer Skyscanner. Either or, it doesn't really matter. But flights is your best option in terms of travel. The other one is train. I've only really taken one train to travel cross country, and that was in Paris to London earlier this year. I understand it. If you book it well far in advance, it's going to be cheaper than a flight. But honestly, it takes more time and it's more expensive sometimes. That's why I just prefer catching a flight. So you can catch a train. It's probably going to be more scenic depending on where you go. So that's always an option. And then obviously, I know Americans love driving everywhere. So you can get a car and travel bloody 24 hours driving to get from one side of America to the other if you really want. Personally, I could not do that, sitting in a car for 24 hours. But then here I am saying I'm more than happy to sit on a flight for 24 hours. So pick your poison at the end of the day. And a little hack, I haven't used this, so be careful. I'm not a financial expert, is to use credit cards to rack up travel points. So when you pay for something, when you pay for rent, for groceries and stuff, put it on a credit card. That way you're able to get points and then use those points to be able to travel, get free flights, get discounts on flights, upgraded to business class, that type of thing. Once again, I'm not a financial expert. Do not go into credit card debt just because you saw this video. So now here are some common questions that you may have. How much do I need to travel? It all depends on where you're going and for how long and for what you want to do. Like if you go to New York, it's going to be a lot more expensive than going to Bali, for example. And if you stay for 6 months, this is all common sense. If you stay for 6 months, it's going to cost you a lot more than 1 week. And it depends. If you want to go to Disneyland in Orlando, then that's going to cost you compared if you just want to sit at home. So what I would do is I would research flights, accommodation, see if I know anyone in that area that I could crash on their place, plus the stuff that I want to do. Disneyland, I want to go to roller coasters, I want to do X, Y, and Z, go to this museum, and then budget in food and then travel. And of course, have a couple hundred on top because life gets in the way. So let's just use this example of 1 week in New York. So this is rough estimates. London to New York flights, around 400 USD return. Accommodation, I know someone, so I'd probably be able to get it for free. In terms of travel, like to and from places, around 100 to 150. Food is going to be expensive depending on how much you eat. If you're a big boy like me, you eat a lot. So that's between $200 to $300. Activities, once again, $200. So in total, that's $800 so far. So I would probably budget around 1 to 1.2K just because shit happens. Life gets in the way and you don't want to be broke. The next question is, how long should I stay for? It all depends on how many people you know and your budget. If you don't have too much of a budget, I probably wouldn't recommend staying there for 6 months. And depending on how many people you know, if you know that you can be fully packed out for the next 6 months, then yeah, and you've got the budget to do, yeah, why not? But if you don't know anyone, there's no point in going for like 4 months, right? I made that mistake when I first went to LA. I was in Atlanta for a week and then LA for 2.5 months. And I thought, oh yeah, because I was staying with a bunch of producers at the time. And I thought, okay, cool. Like seeing as I'm staying with them, then I'll be able to be in sessions every day. And that's really not the case, which I'm going to touch on later in the video. But depending on where and how many people you know, I would say between 1 to 3 weeks. That's a good time because it's not long enough that you can procrastinate, but it's not short enough that you're crammed and you have to fit everything in one single day. But if you're in Europe, you can easily do a little weekend getaway and link with people while you're in that country. Like for example, I went to Malaga for a couple of days. I didn't really think I was just going for a holiday. Turns out there was a producer, linked with him for a bit, and bingo bango, that's it. Now, some tips. Before people travel, I would recommend you have some sort of motion before traveling, because if not, it's going to be a lot harder to network and it's not going to be as valuable as possible. Let's say your first day into producing, going to LA is not the best thing I would recommend. I would recommend building your brand first, posting content, networking, and then once you have a solid solid connections and network in X, Y, and Z place, then I would go out. And what I would do when it comes to reaching out to people, number one, I would reach out before you book. The worst thing that you want is for you to book your holiday and turns out all your connections are going away for Thanksgiving or not there. So I would make sure, hey Drake, I'm going to be in Canada, January 25th or whatnot. Are you going to be around? Yes. Okay, cool, perfect. So then you make a list, and then 2 to 3 weeks before, after you book everything, just send him a message. Just book my flights, can't wait or whatever. 2 to 3 weeks before, I would hit him up, and then of course when you land, I would let him know. Just say, hey, just landed, or when you hit him up 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before, that's when you say, yo, let's pencil something in for the 16th or whatever it is. And then when you land, you let them know again. And this is what I use when I go traveling all the time, which has opened so many doors for me. So I call it the Tim Tam trick, but premise is depending on where you're from, you get like a local snack, a local cuisine, and you buy it in bulk. So that way, when you do travel, you're able to give it to them. And so I would say something along the lines of, hey bro, love your work or whatever. I make it personalized. This is just super rough. Hey Drake, loved your latest album with Party Next Door. Would love to connect with you. I'm actually coming out to Toronto in a couple weeks. I've got some snacks from Australia, which I reckon you'll really like. So let me know. And then I would send them a photo of the snacks because it sparks curiosity. Number one, a voice message. They're like, what the fuck? And they see snacks that they've never seen before. They're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? They press play and they're like, damn, I've never had this guy offered me something. It makes it a lot more super valuable rather than some guy, yo, let me send you loops. Let's get in a session. That type of thing. So this is very valuable for those who live in a very unique country and who are able to do that. Another thing is you can research nice studios. Go on Google. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. You guys are smart enough. Book a studio for a couple of days or a couple of hours and invite as many people as you know and just say, hey, I'm having a massive studio session. Feel free to pull up. That way everyone comes into the one studio. And if no one shows up, then you've just got a studio to cook up at. And then create content while you're there. So you can do like a day in a life, travel vlog, go to these nice studios and create content. That way it builds your brand up as a music producer of like, oh, this guy's traveling. He's actually got motion, that type of thing, rather than just cooking up and not posting any content from it. And one thing to realize is that people will flake. Life happens and people are going to flake. Last minute things are going to pop up. And so what you want to do, depending on how certain you are in the studio, is double book yourself. If you have some guy that says, yeah, maybe I might be able to do 2 p.m., double book for someone that can do 2 p.m. But if you know someone and he's just like, yeah, let's definitely do it. Let's do it. I've already booked the studio. No need to double book. Which this part segues perfectly into the harsh reality of traveling. Once again, there will be days where everyone flakes on you. Your plans will fall through. There will be days where you don't make any music. Something happens. Life gets in the way. And this is normal. Don't stress. People flake a lot, not because that they don't like you, because life happens. Shit gets in the way, as I keep saying. And if you're emotionally attached to your plans while traveling, this will drain you. Going back to the thing that I was talking about before, being in LA, so I was very attached to like, okay, I'm going to be with these producers. They've got their own studio, X, Y, and Z. And for the first couple of like days, it was cool. I was invited. But then it was kind of like, oh, you're not really part of a group. We have our own shit going on. Like, you're not really able to come to these sessions, blah, 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 blah. And because I was so emotionally attached to that, it really took a hit on me. But then I got out of my own head and I was just like, you know what? I'm sick of living someone else's, like waiting on someone else's permission. I'm going to start doing my own thing. That's when I started going to the gym, linking up with my own, like the producers that I know, doing my own shit. And that's when traveling became really fun for me. And then during that time, you'll question yourself, like, why did I even come here? I should have stayed at home. And as I said before, of what to do during those situations is have a life outside of music. Go explore the Eiffel Tower. Go to a strip club in Miami. Go to Santa Monica Pier. Do fun shit like that. Live a little, get inspired. Doing these different things will get you inspired. So I would say have a life outside of music, go explore and do fun shit. And if you really want to know how I make $4,000 to $6,000 a month, able to travel the world, like places like LA, New York, Miami, I've dropped this video, which I think will be very useful for you. It'll be the first link in the description. Go crazy, go watch it, and comment any video ideas you want me to post. Peace.